Hi, this is a follow-up to the previous picking and gutting I did on this Abus 83 CS55 Series 2, where I think I pointed out that the pinning was rather shallow and similar all the way along the key, and that's been reinforced in comments from the Bosnian Bill offline and lockpicking lawyer. So I thought I'd just do something that I haven't seen done before, maybe because it's so obvious, is actually look at the bitting of a key and show it in a redux. So on with the Abus, you can see that all of the valleys of the key are at very much the same height. The first two and the fourth valley are identical. In between there's a slightly higher valley, and at the end there's the lowest one of all. Now, I think I mentioned in the previous video that the distance between the lowest and the highest valley is something like 1.5 millimeters. That's 60 thousandths of an inch or so. It's really quite a trivial distance. The importance of that is that although the key looks kind of nice, it's got teeth, the teeth have got nothing to do with the function of the key when it's in the lock. It's all about getting it into the lock. So the 45-degree angles on there shift the pins up and act as some sort of detent as you go in, and yeah, but when it's actually in there, all that matters is where the pins rest in those valleys. So what you can do is file away all of the teeth, which I've done on this key. So this is, let's see, it's got the same number, etc. It's the same key, but I've taken away the teeth. I've left the very bottoms of each of the valleys intact, and then filed so that there's a slope between them. I hope you can see on there, it might be a bit too shiny to focus, that you can see the very slight cut across, which is the original cut. So there's hardly anything on this key that is different from a straight bit of metal. So here's a little bit of mild steel that I've cut, and if you hold it like that, it's not that different. In the middle it's slightly higher. So what I'm going to do first is just use this key, and you see it still works. Then I'm going to put some tension on the lock and use this straight bit of metal. Well, it was straight, it's been bent with some abuse. I've tried it a few locks. It opens two of them. Okay, so I'm just wiggling it as it goes in so that we might hit that high point we did. Sorry, hitting the high point in the middle of the key. Yeah. Let's try it the other way up. Oops. It's a bit harder to get it in this way, but yeah. Oh well. Yeah, so fairly straight piece of metal, just twisting it a little as it goes in, lifts it. Yeah, so these, the high bits on the key essentially do nothing. It's the low bits, and the low bits have got no variation at all to speak of in this lock. This tiny bit in the middle is 1.5 millimeters higher than the lowest bit, about 0.5 millimeter higher than the rest of the key, and all of it sits in this part of the warding, which means that the straight bit of metal can go along and do all the stuff. Nothing's curling into this bit, it's all just straight along there. I've got 5 or maybe 6 padlocks. I've got this master lock, which in a previous video I used a small screwdriver to pick, and that required me to actually pick it, not just straightforward press it all down like I did in this. That's because this key, as rough and nasty as it is, which has got 4 cylinders, has a lowish cut, then a high cut, then two very low, well, two relatively low cuts. So when picking, you pretty much need to kick that, reach around it, get this one, and then go back and knock those two up. There is a slight reach around that wiggling this bit of flat metal in doesn't quite achieve. I have tried it, and that's why I knocked this out of shape. The amount of force involved is too much. This stuff just deforms very easily. So this master lock that is pretty easy to pick and rake with everything. Doesn't rake, well, doesn't wobble open with a straight bit of metal. Unlike this master lock clone I bought from Wilkinson's, just to see, I was curious as to how easy these might be. And actually, sorry, I'll just show you the key first. The key is rather similar to the one for the Abus or Abus. Slightly low at the back, slightly low at the back, two valleys, slightly low one at the front, and then slightly higher in between. 5 pins, but when I put this in, small amount of tension, just put this in, and it normally, yeah, goes straight open. And this lock's particularly easy, sorry, it's fouled now. This lock's particularly easy to pick and rake with anything, but that's also because, like the Abus, it's got virtually no difference between its pin heights. None of them protecting each other, and there's no up and down. Well, that's pretty much what I wanted to moan about this time. That although a key might look quite key-like to the casual eye, the reality of it is that it can be almost flat and easily opened with simple things. And it's actually easier to open the lock with this than it is with the standard rake. Anyway, that's all for now. I will, I think, make a longer video soon where I make a fresh key from a blank for this, and also for its brother that I bought, because after a couple of weeks of playing with this, I have now got it so that I can pick it quite easily. Easily for me, it's like 4 or 5 minutes, but I won't bore you with that now. What I will do is repin them both, and hopefully that will be a couple of videos of some interest. So I'll be starting off with brass rod and just a plain blank, and then cutting the blank in a shape I like, and then putting bits of brass rod in to match. Luckily the keyways on these things are very straightforward. I think I mentioned before what Yale and Era equivalents they are, and so I've got a little blank that I'm going to use for that. Okay, thanks very much for watching. Bye. One thing I forgot to do earlier, so I was doing another little bit, is that because this key now doesn't have any detent function, the valleys are there but the peaks between them aren't, you can put the key into just about any distance you like up to the hilt. And what I've found is that something like 2mm away from actually being in position, I don't know if you can see that, it's maybe 1.5 millimeters away from being in position, it actually operates. So I guess that means the tolerance on the heights is larger than you'd imagine. If you go 1.5 millimeters away from this valley, there's not very much difference, but on this one, which is the highest point, 1.5 millimeters away is actually considerably lower than where the valley is cut. So I think I'll probably investigate that off camera. I'll try chopping this bit of the key off and filing this down further. I've got several replicates of this. We used to use this lock at work, and so we've got like 5 or 6 copies of it. So I'll see how far away from the actual pattern that's originally cut we can get away with, and see how far in and out the key can be from those ideals. Okay, thanks for watching, bye bye.